All right, AMC community, let's get right into it. Real talk, because in my opinion, there has not been a more important time than right now to keep our heads and minds in this game. I've been in this place since January 2021, and in my opinion, I have not seen more FUD than right now. The amount of FUD being spread right now with the issuing of APE is absolutely horrible. Some of it is intentional, which it is. Some of it is just ignorance because people don't fully understand it, which I guess is forgivable, but still, until you understand it, you shouldn't be putting out information that could be misleading people. There's a lot of conflicting information and confusing information. It is absolutely horrible right now. My friend and I were talking this morning. Of course, we're talking about Meet Kevin and the biggest piece of shit YouTuber in this entire community, Super Chat Matt. So, of course, these two dipshits come out with, sell APE, buy AMC, blah, 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 blah. These guys have been bought out. Well, Meet Kevin has been bought out for a long time. That guy's been a bot man, a bot YouTuber for a long, years and years and years. Super Chat Matt, it's hard to pinpoint, but I figure it's been at least a year that piece of shit has been compromised. Anyways, of course, these guys come out with FUD around APE, because why wouldn't they, right? What my friend and I were talking about this morning, it begs the question, okay, if they are spreading intentional FUD, but you selling the APE, that means there's somebody that wants you to sell it because there's somebody that wants to buy it. Why is that? I don't know. Remember, I made a video a while ago talking about this subject. To get to answers, you got to ask the right questions, good questions, important questions. And that's an important question. Why would somebody want you to sell APE so that they can buy it? Well, that's the answer to the question. Somebody wants you to sell APE so they can buy it. The better question I should rephrase and reframe. The better question is, who wants to buy APE? If these motherfuckers are bought and paid for and sold out to sell us out, then why and who are the people buying the APE? That's the question that needs to be asked. This has been my problem with financial YouTubers for a long time. Everybody has, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? Everybody is operating on their own strategy, their own plan. They see the world, the economy, the markets. They see it through their own lens based on the strategy of investing that they're employing. And the big problem with a lot of financial YouTubers is, a lot of that bias comes out in the advice that they give. And typically, the advice that they give, if it's followed, if the strategy or the plan changes, you don't hear about it until after the fact. A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. So like a stock pick, for example. Somebody tells you or gives you advice on a stock pick, and then they exit that position. You're not going to hear about it when they exit. You're going to usually hear about it 2-3 weeks after, or whatever it takes after, right? Typically when it's too late for you. And we're seeing that right now as well. There is a lot of people, I'm not going to name names, but there's there's a couple of YouTubers that, remember back in February, March, when they're, and it squeezes in February, it's in March 3rd, this and that, blah, 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 all these investigations and these new blah, 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 blah. Where did they all go? Did any of them ever come out with a video just saying, you know what, hey, I was wrong. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I made a bad call. Forgive me. We're all human. We do it. But some of these people have now changed their tune, which again is fine. If your strategy changes, if your sentiment changes, that is fine. But they gave you advice back then, which you took, or probably took, and then their situation changed. They disappeared for a while, then their situation changed, and now they're coming up with this new advice. So that's always been my problem with financial YouTubers. And in fact, if you want the honest truth, that's one of the reasons why I have digressed from making videos. I was making videos, a lot of people started messaging me, commenting, even emailing me, saying, hey man, advice about this, what do you think about this, what do you think about that, blah, blah, blah. And to an egocentric person who has little to zero integrity, that would completely blow up their head, and they would double down. They would make more content and keep pushing their agenda. But what I realized, because I have integrity, is I'm a person who has a strategy and a plan, my own financial plan, and I thought the opposite. I thought, you know what? This is actually dangerous. People are now listening to me, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but whatever they were, they're asking for my advice. But I'm a person who is operating on his own plan, his own strategy. And I thought that was dangerous. I didn't want to be responsible for giving bad advice, because I've said this before too. And somebody took this way out of context. They said in the comments that I was arrogant and I felt like the community should be lucky that I'm involved in this. That is absolutely fucking not at all what I said. What I said is, I am a guy who typically does not get caught up in plays like this because I'm a very boring investor. I'm a dividend growth / income investor. I buy boring blue chip stocks, all the stocks you've heard of, all the companies you've heard of. These companies pay 3 to 4% dividend. That doesn't make up the most of my portfolio, but they pay 3 to 4% dividend. They grow their dividend, year after year. They've paid their dividends for 20, 30 years. They just keep doing that like clockwork. I buy income funds that pay high yields because they use covered call strategies. Just boring blue chip. And even these covered call strategies, it's a bit more, I guess, spicy than buying, like Johnson & Johnson or Procter & Gamble or whatever. But these covered call funds that I buy, they buy these boring blue chip stocks as well, and they hold them. And then their income strategy, revenue strategy is selling covered call options on these. And then they pay those distributions monthly, usually distributions back to the investor, which is awesome because some of them are like 8, 9, 10, 11% yield. So, and then I just reinvest that in compound growth, right? The whole Charlie Munger thing. Just don't unnecessarily get in the way of compounding. Like, it's just boring shit. So anyways, long story short, I just stopped making videos because too many people were asking for my advice, and my strategy is different from theirs. So I'm not in a position to give you advice because I don't know what your strategy is. You're on a different path, a different trajectory than I am. So to wrap this whole thing up, I'm not even going to comment on APE and AMC in this video or even in future videos. Maybe I will, but I'm going to wait until I fully understand it because we're still yet to see this thing play out. And I feel like commenting anything on it right now is just pure FUD and it's pure misinformation because APE, I haven't fully understood it yet. It's confusing, and we're going to have to see how this thing plays out and what's going to come and all that kind of stuff. So basically what I'm trying to say is just be very vigilant, guys. Be vigilant. Protect your mind. Ignore the fun. Stick to your plan. Stick to your strategy. Don't worry about what someone else is doing. Just do you. Just do you. That's what anybody should be in life should be doing. Stop comparing yourself to others. It doesn't hurt. Like, don't get me wrong. It doesn't hurt to listen to other people and take pieces, but just take pieces. Take little pieces from each person and then apply it to and overlay it over top of what you're doing. Do what's best for you. That's all I got.